Good evening and welcome. You're watching the news track. I'm Rahul Kamal. Who's responsible for the political violence witnessed in the West Bengal Panchayat elections? Why is there no violence when similar elections are held in states like Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Karnataka? Why is there so much violence taking place at this moment in Didi's Bengal? And what does this mean for the big Lok Sabha elections next year? All this and more is my top focus on the news track.
Violent Panchayat vote count. Crude bombs and chaos. Arrows and accusations fly. Blood politics escalates. Bengal showdown. Big focus on news track.
The West Bengal governor will be joining me live and exclusive on the news track in just a moment from now. Here's a look at the headlines. Torrential rains wreak havoc in Himachal Pradesh. At least 72 are dead. Many roads still shut. Popular tourist spots still cut off. Home Minister hits out at the opposition after Supreme Court invalidates the third extension for the ED director. Shah says it doesn't matter who heads the probe agency. Action against cozy club of corrupt dynasts will continue. India Today accesses images cited as proof of sexual harassment against wrestling body chief. Delhi police charge sheet says Brij Bhushan Singh is liable to be persecuted and punished for molestation and stalking. Horrific collision on the Delhi-Meerut Expressway in Ghaziabad. School bus driving in the wrong direction rams into an SUV. 6 are killed, including 2 children. 3 days to go for the launch of Chandrayaan 3. ISRO conducts a launch rehearsal by simulating the entire process. I want to show you first and foremost the live counting tally from the West Bengal Panchayat polls. India Today's sister concern, Aaj Tak Bangla, has set up an elaborate counting desk in Kolkata, and we're tracking the numbers from all the 3 types of elections that are happening at this time. Remember, Panchayat elections held in different levels. So I'll start by showing you what's happening in the Gram Panchayat seats. Now there are 63,229 Gram Panchayats. Out of this, at this moment, the Trinamool Congress leading at 18,552. Remember, this is paper ballot counting, so it takes much longer than when EVMs are being polled. The BJP standing at 4,095, the Congress at 1,137, the CPM at 1,687. Let's now switch after the Gram Panchayat polls and take a look at what's happening in the Bengal Panchayat Samiti elections. A total of 9,730 Panchayat Samitis. Out of this, the Trinamool leading at this moment in 134, the BJP in 8, the Congress hasn't opened its account yet, the CPM in 6. So one-way traffic in favor of the Trinamool at 134. And last, let's take a look at the Zilla Parishad seats. The total of 928 Zilla Parishads. For the moment, the Trinamool leading in 10 of them, the BJP and the others yet to open their account. So it seems very strongly dominated by the Trinamool, but the charge of the opposition, which in this case includes the BJP and the Congress on the same side of the coin, is that this is being done at the barrel of a gun, that the TMC is bullying voters, intimidating them into ensuring that they vote for the Trinamool Congress. The TMC, of course, denies that charge. Violence continues as votes are counted for the West Bengal Panchayat elections, from crude bombs being hurled to arrows flying in clashes. Chaos ensued on counting day. At least 22 people have died in the last 4 days and nearly 40 people have been killed since the local body polls were announced.
Bombs, lathis, arrows, ruckus. A tumultuous culmination to Panchayat elections in West Bengal. A harrowing display of unrest staining the vote count on Tuesday across the state. Some 40 people have been killed in clashes since the announcement of Panchayat elections early last month. The extent of violence on the voting day was such that a re-poll had to be ordered in nearly 700 booths. Disorder overshadowed Tuesday's vote count, as political parties continued to engage in accusations and counter-accusations.
चुनाव और हिंसा आज बंगाल में पर्यायवाची शब्द बने हुए हैं. 45 people have died as of today as far as the Panchayat elections of 2023 in West Bengal is concerned. आप अगर अखबार पढ़ेंगे तो जिन शब्दों का प्रयोग सर्वाधिक किया गया है बंगाल के पंचायत के चुनावों को लेकर, वो शब्द है फायरिंग, गोलीबारी, बॉम्बिंग, बमबारी, बोगस वोटिंग, rigging.
Crude bombs went off outside a count center at Diamond Harbour. In Paschim Bardhaman district, political workers and local tribes employed arrows and bows. In several other areas, security forces used force to disperse unruly mobs.
We should realize that elections are not a ground to test one's physical strength. The election is to be fought by ballot, not bullet.
As the dust settles on the turbulent vote count in West Bengal, the echoes of violence serve as a grim reminder of the challenge faced in ensuring a peaceful, democratic process in the state. With Suryagni Roy and Ritik Mandal, Bureau Report, India Today.
I want to go across now, live and exclusive, to the Governor of West Bengal, C.V. Ananda Bose, joining us on the news track. Mr. Bose, welcome. Governor, I want to start by asking you about your overall assessment of the violence in the Panchayat elections. We don't get to see such violence in other states. You've had an opportunity to do your own inspections. Who do you, Governor Bose, blame for the kind of brutal violence that West Bengal has seen in the build-up to the Panchayat elections and during counting, sir? Welcome.
What I saw in the ground, what I saw on ground zero is to be experienced, not explained. Pell-mell and mayhem. That is what was there in the areas of violence which I visited. I could visit only a few of those areas where human blood was shed in the name of election. All type of atrocities were there. People were killed, stabbed, knifed, bullets were showered on them. I could hear the sighs of the widows who lost their husband overnight. I could feel the tears of the mothers who saw their children being shot down in their presence. I could also feel the agony of those whose parents or children or relatives were shot dead on the road. There is nothing which can describe this atrocities that are heaped up there. This election has exposed the ugly underbelly of the miscreants who try to control the election process. I could also understand or experience the presence of the remote controllers, the political remote controllers who guide these miscreants in the field. This is something which should not have happened in Bengal. This is something which does not bring credit to anybody down the line. Violence has no place in democracy. Violence destroys the ethos of democracy. Violence replaces democracy with mobocracy. This cannot be done. A relentless fight against violence is to be done. That is a lesson which I got. That is a take-home which I have from my field visits.
Governor Bose, you are blaming miscreants who are being remote controlled politically for this mobocracy. Who's controlling these miscreants? Who holds that remote control in your view?
That is something which has to be established by professional investigating agencies. That will be done and the truth will come out. We are in the process of trying to tackle this in the most democratic manner, within the Constitution, within the rule of law.
So you met with Home Minister Amit Shah during your visit to Delhi. What was the Home Minister's assessment of this political violence and the manner in which we've seen so many brutal killings during this poll process?
May I politely respond to that seminal question? What I, as governor, discusses with my constitutional colleagues, I am not able to reveal in the public domain. Once a decision is taken, I will appropriately convey it in the appropriate manner at the appropriate time.
You would have seen, Governor Bose, even though you are being very calibrated and measured in every word that you're seeing, a lot of the senior representatives from the Trinamool government have hit out at you, accusing you of having an agenda in favor of the central government, saying that you're moving around at a time when the election process is being held, and accusing you of acting at behest of the central government.
That is the beauty of democracy. Anybody has a right to express their views freely. I am happy if some political parties criticize me. They are most welcome. I may not agree with their views. I will certainly uphold their right to say that. Now, the second question, part of your question, accusations are accusations. Let anybody accuse. I know my role as the constitutional head of the state. I will work within the Constitution of India. My first, second and third priority is the people. Whatever is guaranteed by the Constitution, right to life, right to vote, will be guaranteed. Whatever others say, I will be in the field. I will do my duty freely, fearlessly.
Governor Bose, 40 plus people have been killed in this West Bengal Panchayat poll cycle. What action are you promising to take against those who are responsible for these political murders?
Whatever action is warranted under the law of the land will be taken. Certainly the guilty will be brought to book, and our effort is to see that violence is put in the coffin and the last nail is driven deep, using the constitutional provisions and the legal provisions of this great country.
Why is this violence happening only in West Bengal? There were similar Panchayat polls in a state even bigger, Uttar Pradesh, but we didn't see this kind of violence in the least in Uttar Pradesh when Panchayat polls were happening. Why does so much violence happen only in the state of West Bengal, Governor?
Comparisons are odious. I would like to confine myself to West Bengal. Here alone I have a jurisdiction. There is violence here. That violence will be put out. That is my priority. For the time being, I am not here for a comparative exercise.
Finally, more counting is still left. The process hasn't been concluded. Are you confident that now there will be a semblance of normalcy, that this violence will end?
Today, when I went to the field, I found there is a definite change. I could see the central forces and also the Punjab police and the state police in sufficient numbers in the places where I visited. I think strict action will be taken. Certainly, we will do everything to see that there is not a repeat of what was there in the pre-poll days. We are vigilant. Public are vigilant. Let us see what happens. I am hopeful.
Have you had an opportunity to speak to the Chief Minister of the state? What's Mamata Banerjee telling you about her expectations in terms of bringing this cycle of violence to a close, Governor?
I will try to bring all stakeholders together. This is a common enemy. What is relevant is not violence during election. What is relevant is violence. That has to be stemmed effectively, efficiently, and we should see to it that all action is taken through all means to suppress violence and make it a thing of the past. Those perpetrators of violence will be shown their place. They will be made to curse the day they were born.
You've been very deliberate and careful in what you've said and what you've left unsaid. You're promising to live up to your constitutional duty and be totally non-partisan in this process. We wish you all the very best, CV Ananda Bose, Governor of West Bengal, for joining me on the news track. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, thank you.
That's the Governor of West Bengal live on the news track, being very careful in what he says, but the implicit messaging is clear. This kind of violence hasn't happened in other states. States like Uttar Pradesh, where you had a similarly gigantic panchayat poll process, there's hardly any stray incident of violence. Here there is mass violence, 40 plus people dead, images of ballot boxes being broken apart, ballot papers being flung around the fields. I mean, there is chaos in different parts of the state. Who is to blame for this cycle of violence, and what do these trends mean for the Lok Sabha elections of 2024? Do they mean anything at all, given that panchayat elections and national elections are quite different? To talk about this and more, I'm joined on this broadcast by Bishwajit Deb, spokesperson of the Trinamool, Bikash Ranjan Bhattacharya, Member of Parliament in the Rajya Sabha of the CPIM, Syed Zafar Islam, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Jayanto Ghoshal is a consulting editor at India Today, and we've got Shikha Mukherjee, well-known columnist and senior journalist, joining us. I want to go across to Bishwajit Deb first, because implicit in what the governor said and didn't say, and in what we've seen in West Bengal, is the fact that this is a state being run by the Trinamool at this time, and only in this particular state and not in other states are we seeing this kind of violence. Law and order, sir, is your government's responsibility. If there is so much violence in East Bengal, ultimately the state government has to take responsibility because it's happening on your watch.
I'll come to what the governor has said after some time. But first let me tell you that the people's mandate had been with Mamata Banerjee. The people's blessings had been with Mamata Banerjee, with Abhishek Banerjee, and with All India Trinamool Congress. It reflected, today's results reflected that the people had full faith on Trinamool Congress, on Mamata Banerjee, and on Abhishek Banerjee. Now you see there are 63,000, more than 63,000 booths, out of which only in 1% booth there were some incidents of violence, especially in Murshidabad, where Congress and CPIM created this violence, and 5 of our active leaders and workers, they died on the day of election in Murshidabad alone, and some happened in Kuch Bihar, where these incidents had been instigated by the BJP, and some incidents were there in South 24 Parganas instigated by the ISF. Now the problem is, the these sporadic incidents which led to deaths of not only the opposition, but also the Trinamool Congress workers and leaders. You see what happened ultimately, the media projected, the section of the media projected that the entire state is in doldrums. The entire state is in a lawlessness situation. But that is not a fact. This is not the actual fact. You see, the people voted for Trinamool Congress. You cannot rig, you cannot create nuisance in 63,000 booths. People voted for Mamata Banerjee. People voted for Abhishek Banerjee. People voted for Trinamool Congress. This is the hard reality. This is the ground reality which the governor of West Bengal is not so understanding. Unfortunately, the governor of West Bengal is acting at the behest of his political masters. He is acting at the behest of the Bharatiya Janata Party. And he just wanted to do and did whatever the BJP told him to do. Even during the time when the election campaign was over, at that time also he came out in the streets and he helped the opposition. This is not the role of a governor. He should understand that he is the constitutional head of the state and he has got his limits. He cannot cross his limits.
Okay.
And what
so let me put that question to Syed Zafar Islam.
He has acted as a political leader. He has acted as a political leader. This is very unfortunate on the part of the governor.
Syed Zafar Islam, the data on our screen coming from the West Bengal Panchayat polls suggest that the voters in these elections have yet again voted overwhelmingly in favor of the Trinamool. The TMC leader says that the poll violence is exaggerated, it's bad, but it's limited to certain pockets. It's not as if the state is in the grip of lawlessness like the BJP would have us believe. They're also accusing the governor, who was speaking to us moments before now, of acting as a pawn of the central government. Syed Zafar Islam.
Well, you did ask a question to the governor about the comparison between Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. Of course, he was not in a position because being a governor, he didn't make the comparison, but I can do that. You have seen how handsomely we have won in many states, not only in Uttar Pradesh, but many states in Panchayat elections. And how about, but did we use any kind of state machinery or for the police or threaten people, use goons to beat up people, use murdered people, political violence, resorted to political violence? None, we didn't done. We just went to the electoral, followed the electoral process, and the people have supported us purely because we had we had the confidence of the people, they had the confidence in the government and the governance model. But here, see the political violence. See all the people who have voted for Trinamool Congress were frightened, because if they do not vote for PMC, then they will be targeted post the election result. Unfortunately, they complied with the threat with what the TMC had given to them, and they had to vote for TMC not because of they wanted to vote them, but because of the fear they have that they will be targeted by the TMC goons. We have seen it even after the state election, how people were targeted, those who had not voted for TMC. People may have...
Jayanto Ghoshal, you've seen many an election in West Bengal and elsewhere. When elections happen in Uttar Pradesh, back in the day, you would expect violence. Even in a state like Bihar, you'd expect lawlessness. Now, these states have progressed in a way that there's very sporadic incidents of violence, if at all. 40 political murders just during the Panchayat polls. This is unheard of. Why is there so much political violence in West Bengal at this moment? Who's to blame? Who's responsible, Jayanto?
Rahul, violence first, at the outset we should condemn violence, and you know there is unfortunately for the last 40 years I am an onlooker of West Bengal politics. Political DNA of the Bengal, I am not saying that Bengalis are violent, that will be sweeping generalization, unfortunately I cannot do that, but there is a political culture of violence, and this time it has become a commercialization of violence for the electoral and political gain. I am remembering I mean just recalling that the Aaj Tak special story, it's a brilliant story, that the bomb merchants of Bengal, they are saying, I am not in a party. I am selling the bombs and the rifles, and we are independent. Earlier they used to bring it from the Munger, Bihar. Now West Bengal has become independent and we are manufacturing and you can buy. And both the parties, the opposition and the ruling parties, they are buying. Why? TMC is buying to remain in power. BJP is buying to gain the power. So it has become a political culture. But one thing is very important, that when CPM was in power, after some time, the killing of CPM workers also started, because that time we used to call it Pratirod. The combative politics started because Trinamool started getting the political space against CPM. Now the history is repeating history. You have to give the share to the devil also. Bishwajit Dev is a very good friend of mine. He's a brilliant spokesperson, but he cannot say that Congress, when Siddharth Shankar Rai, the goons of Congress shifted to CPM, and the CPM goons shifted to the political power hierarchy of TMC, and it has become a system in West Bengal because it's a socio-economic factors are there. If you cannot provide the industry, if you cannot give the white collar job, in Panchayat Pradhan he gets 6,000 rupees, but that is not the issue. But the central projects, the state projects, lot of monies, and there is a socio-economic pathos in Bengal, and they are getting something from Panchayat.
Do you buy this?
Everybody wants to be the part of
Do you
this
buy
Panchayat
this
election.
argument, Bikash Ranjan Bhattacharya, that this is part of a political culture spawned by the left during your rule, that when the Trinamool was getting stronger, we saw a similar pushback? Even at that time there was violence when the left was weakening and the TMC was getting stronger. Now as the BJP gains ground, again we are seeing this brutal cycle of violence. It's part of the political DNA, Jayanto Ghoshal claims, of West Bengal.
I reject this idea. I do not subscribe this theory. This theory is really making the situation worse than what the situation needs to be explained. Here in West Bengal, during left-front regime, during the election, the opposition used to get more than 40% of vote. Therefore, they cannot say that there was a violence in the election. But there were killings, no doubt about it. The killings was on the political note, but economical issues. When the left-front government initiated land reforms, the land losers got the land and the land sharks, they have lost the right of their land and they started creating this sort of disturbance and they took shelter of violence to these landholders to get out of their land rights. During the left-front regime, the workers had their right to movement, they had the right to strike, and the police was not allowed to intervene. Then the company or the capital, they used to hire the goons to kill the workers. There was the killing of the workers, and the goons were hired by the capital. That was the situation where unfortunately the killings were there. That was purely on the question of socio condition of change of correlation of powers. But Trinamool, after coming to power with the assistance of the capital and all the reactionary forces, they have taken it that no democratic right is to be exercised, allowed to be exercised. Not even a college election, not even a cooperative election. Everywhere Trinamool goons will let their goons free and prevent the...
Shikha Mukherjee, who are you blaming? You've seen many elections in West Bengal. For this current round of political violence, who do you blame? Who's more responsible, ma'am?
You have to accept that.
Well, I think that who is more responsible? Obviously, whoever, the party which has the maximum number of biggest organization is responsible because they have more people on the ground. However, I am entirely in agreement with Jayanto that all political parties are equally responsible for this kind of intensification and the nature of the attacks that have happened. This intensity is something disturbing, and the political parties need to work it out how they're going to end this intensive violence, which not only has killed 40 people, but it has created, it has shifted the way in which violence has earlier been. We have recorded the violence in the past.
Now, what's the difference? You've seen political violence in the past. What's the difference between earlier and now?
Oh, I'll tell you, the kind of, it's a free-for-all. Earlier there was a reason why these, because what Church is right, earlier there was a clash of certain ideas. Here it is a clash only for area domination, only for the purposes of defending a piece of turf from encroachment by somebody else. And Rahul, let me put it to you like this. You will hear, I've been hearing throughout the day, I've been hearing for some time, over the last 4 days, that the violence has been confined to certain areas, certain districts. West Bengal has 20 districts. The violence has been confined to, high degree levels of violence have been confined to certain districts. I agree with that. And then if you look at it, you take a political map of the districts of West Bengal, where which party is dominating is very clear, and then you superimpose this violence map. And what you see is striking. There is a convergence which is striking. In other words, there are people defending the turf, there are people encroaching on that turf, and between the two, there seems to be an all-out war to contain.
Let Vishwajit Deb respond to that. Essentially, you're being very guarded in what you're saying, but here's essentially what you're saying, that the Trinamool is holding on to turf, the BJP is trying to get on to that turf, which is why we're seeing this push.
It varies from district to district.
And in some cases where the Congress is stronger, like in Murshidabad, we're seeing a violence of a different kind. And in some places, we're seeing the ISF and the CPIM part of the violence as well.
You see, we condemn any type of violence whatsoever. But the politics of violence has been in Bengal since the days of the left front regime. Since the left front came to power in 1977, thereafter you will see each and every violence, every election was an election of bloodbath. Each and every election we witnessed.
But you promised, you promised that you would be different. How can you hark back to the bloody days of the left and say it happened then, it's happening now, it's no big deal? That's what you promised to change.
Please let me finish.
Okay.
This is not I am just citing the example. But what I would like to say is this. The same thing has been followed by the left now, and they have perpetrated this violence along with BJP and ISF. In Bengal, the situation is different. In Bengal, it is a combination of the opposition parties together. The left, the CPI, the left, the Congress, ISF and BJP. It's a combined opposition against the Trinamool Congress. They don't even follow the rule of law, and that is why these incidents have happened. Now coming to the question, you see, BJP gave a slogan, no vote to Mamata. Now our leader Abhishek Banerjee today tweeted, now vote for Mamata. And this is exactly what has happened in Bengal. Bengal has voted for Mamata Banerjee. Bengal has voted for All India Trinamool Congress. Bengal has voted for Abhishek Banerjee. The thing is this, you see, opposition parties must understand one particular thing, that they don't have any base, they don't have any public support. Public support is with All India Trinamool Congress because of the development work since the last 12 years which has been done by Mamata Banerjee. Mamata Banerjee did Kannasri, Mamata Banerjee did Khaddashati, Mamata Banerjee did Students Credit Card, Mamata Banerjee did Lakshmi Bhandar, whatever commitment did was
okay. So you're trying to shift attention away from the violence to the messaging from this election. I want to put that question to Jayanto Ghoshal. What impact do you think, if at all, this Panchayat result will have on the 2024 elections? Typically, state governments tend to do well in local body polls. Lok Sabha elections are different. The Trinamool says this is proof that we'll win 2024. Is it? Jayanta Ghoshal.
Yeah, I will respond, but before that, I just want to mention one sentence to Bikasda, our beloved Bikasda. He was a very good mayor of West Bengal. When I was speaking on the CPM's goons and the lumpen proletariat of the Communist Party, then this Buddhadev Bhattacharya and Bikasda, they didn't promote. There is a tale of two CPM, and the CPM, the goon CPM dominated, and that's why the exit happened. And till today, if CPM is not ready to accept that fact, the future of CPM is also will be deplorable. Anyway, the future of 2024, the point number one, the control over the masses, the mass connectivity, still number one is Mamata Banerjee. You have to accept the fact, and the BJP top brass also, they accept this fact. As a journalist, I know that. And that's why they are trying to get that space, and gradually BJP is improving. 2019, 2020, 21, BJP got defeated, but the percentage of vote is increasing. Today's vote also, I was watching whether left parties will be the number 2 party or not. Left could not, BJP became number 2. So now the fight is number 1 in 2024, the control of Mamata Banerjee and BJP's organizational control. You have to accept, if there is an organizational strength in Subhendu's area, Nandigram, how BJP got victory? Today, Nandigram, Subhendu Adhikari got the victory in his block. And Arabul defeated Trinamool leader, Diden Musselman. Why? So there is some space. Now how BJP will, under which leadership, there are a lot of pitfalls, there are a lot of fault lines. And the last point is, Lok Sabha election is the election of Narendra Modi, who is still, I believe, the most popular leader of this country.
Okay, let Syed Zafar Islam respond to what you are saying, that this Panchayat election shows that Mamata Banerjee's popularity is undiminished.
Rahul, one sentence.
Okay, one sentence.
Panchayat is controlled by West Bengal government. Panchayat election is State Election Commission. Panchayat election is the BDO's election. So you cannot compare. The exact consequence will follow in Lok Sabha election.
Rahul, can you just repeat the question, please?
But still BJP.
Okay, Syed Zafar Islam, here's my question. This poll shows that Mamata Banerjee is still popular in West Bengal. If you're hoping that after her assembly election victory, her popularity would crash, the BJP was making many claims of doing much better than it actually has. So it can be argued that while you've gained some ground and become the lead opposition party, you are still only the lead opposition party and nowhere close to being able to unseat Mamata Banerjee yet.
Well, Rahul, two things. When we are talking about 2024 and we are talking about the state assembly election, I think the state assembly election we have demonstrated that we are number 2 party. Our vote percentage has significantly improved. Of course, we didn't win that many seats, but in terms of percentage of vote, significantly improvement was there in case of BJP, and we are moving ahead. As far as the 2024 election, we will certainly win. We had 18 seats last time out of 40. This time we are very confident that we will definitely win more than 25 seats. And we have many of the, even TMC, our friend from TMC, they do speak that this time Bharatiya Janata Party will be the single largest gainer when it comes to 2024 poll in West Bengal, and nothing less than 2025, nothing less than 25 seats. And when I heard the spokesperson of TMC when he was talking about that the popularity of Mamata Banerjee and the people who have voted for TMC, actually their force is not out of their will and willingness, they have voted for TMC, but out of fear, and they have been forced. But when the central military forces will be there and free and fair election will be conducted, you will see the outcomes will be very different.
Shikha Mukherjee, your sense of whether the result has any bearing on the 2024 elections?
I think the results do have a bearing on the 2024 elections. look at the situation in 2019. Yes, Mr. Modi, popularity and his charisma worked in West Bengal. It delivered 18 seats out of 42 to the BJP. This is something that Mamata Banerjee has been targeting from 2019. It is her single-minded aim to get that number down. The Panchayat election is one way of getting an organization fighting fit to take on the 2024 challenge. And let me also say this, that regardless of the BJP's opinion or that of other people, the BJP organization in West Bengal is weak. The BJP, in personal conversations, does admit it. In some districts it is particularly weak, in some others it is not so weak. But if you look at what the Trinamool has been doing through this Panchayat election result, you will realize that the BJP's domains, BJP's turf has been targeted, and Mamata Banerjee has been determined to make headway, and she has successfully done it in quite a few places.
Okay, you've heard differing perspectives. One, of course, the Trinamool being able to...
The bottom line is very simple, Rahul.
Yes.
The bottom line is 2024 is what Mamata Banerjee was aiming at. 2024 is where all this Panchayat election results are going to make a difference.
Well, but 2024 is also when Prime Minister Modi is on the ticket, and that
Sure.
makes a difference.
Sure.
It's not Mamata Banerjee versus local BJP leader.
No, it
It's
isn't.
Mamata Banerjee versus the Prime Minister. And in that context, the voters of West Bengal need to decide what they think is the most sensible option for them. You're on board the news track. Torrential rains and landslides have claimed at least 72 lives in Himachal Pradesh. Flash floods have led to massive destruction. Major rivers continue to be in spate. Chief Minister Sukhwinder Sukhu conducted an aerial survey today. Major roads, highways and tourist spots still remain cut off.
Days of relentless rains leave a trail of destruction across Himachal Pradesh. Flash floods swept away roads and smashed bridges. Landslides and floods have forced closure of around 800 roads in the state. A stretch on the Manali-Chandigarh highway was washed away. The Shimla-Kinnaur road is closed for vehicular traffic. Many towns and villages are totally cut off. Kulu is among the worst hit regions.
Line by line, you can see how these buildings have swept away. This was the area where we are being told 4 shops right there were swept away yesterday, 6 were swept away the day before. Lots of residential building, an entire hotel was also swept away by the waters of the Beas.
Water in and around Panchvaktra temple receded. The shrine was submerged completely for the last 2 days.
It all started from Sunday afternoon, and here being Monday, the first auspicious day in the month of Shravan, it was expected to have a huge footfall, not just in thousands, but over the weeks, lakhs of people were expected to arrive at this holy shrine of Lord Shiva, as this Panchmukhi temple, also giving name to Mandi as a Choti Kashi. Yes, and look at this, that's the structure. All you see, this entire landscape is covered with a very thick layer of sand only, literally looking like an island.
People in Mandi got some respite as water has receded.
These houses were submerged up to 20 feet till Monday, but the respite has come as the rains have stopped. Now the flood water has started receding, and now we can see that all the stories of this house are now visible. As far as the damage is concerned, in Mandi alone, nearly 113 houses were partially damaged, and the people who were living in these houses have been moved to the safer places.
आज तो राहत भरा समाचार है कि आज मौसम ठीक है और नदियों का उफान भी थोड़ा लेवल डाउन हुआ है, तो रिलीफ एंड रेस्टोरेशन वर्क के लिए आज समय मिला है.
People are eager to return to normal life. These migrant laborers are heading to Kullu and Manali, hoping to rejoin work.
कहाँ जा रहे हैं आप लोग?
कुल्लू मनाली.
क्यों?
सेब तुरने काम करने के लिए जा रहे हैं अभी तो.
वहाँ तो पता है ना नुकसान हुआ, तो फिर कैसे पैदल ही जा रहे हो?
हाँ, तो अभी तो अब गाड़ी नहीं चल रहा है.
कहाँ रुके थे इतने दिन?
इतने दिन आ रहे हैं हम लोग.
कहाँ से?
नेपाल से.
नेपाल से यहाँ कैसे पहुँचे?
गाड़ी तक.
Chief Minister Sukhvinder Singh Sukhu took an aerial survey of the flood-ravaged regions. But the worst may not be over yet. The IMD has issued a red alert and flash floods warning in 7 districts, including Kullu and Mandi, for the next 24 hours. With Preeti Chaudhary and Ashutosh Mishra in Kullu and Manjeet Sehgal in Mandi, Bureau Report, India Today.
This is where we wrap up the news track tonight. For your time and your trust, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you at 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Till then, from all of us here, goodbye, good night.